Hi, Leigh. It's great to see you again. We've talked about several things so far. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, um, I guess I've been worried a lot lately about Steve. So, Steve's my ex-husband and that I live with him. He has he's he's been experiencing a lot of forgetfulness
Okay.
and um so I'm actually concerned that might have some mild cognitive impairment.
Mm,
And um I just I'm worried what that means, how that's going to affect my life. I mean, I'm worried about him, of course, but I'm worried about how that's going to affect my life.
um, I mean, you mentioned sounds like there's a little bit of more than one emotion going on. So, there's a little bit of a concern, of course, for him and uh, how that could affect him. Um, Tell me more about what that means for how it would affect you.
Well, um I feel like if this is the road that is going to happen, if he really gets tested and finds out something is really wrong, um I'm gonna what's gonna be my role? So I'm not married, and we're not married anymore, and so I technically not, like, obligated to care for him, but at the same time, I love him and I care for him, and I don't, you know, I don't want to wouldn't want to abandon him either. But how would that, when I think of the future of that, like, what's that going to look like? That would really affect my life if I end up having to care for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess I'm being too future oriented. I guess I need to get back to, is there even a problem? Here I am, like, thinking so far ahead into the future. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a little bit of concern of what would happen, you know, if that were to occur. Um,
Yeah, I just well, even bringing the subject up was awkward. I did bring up the subject to him. He In fact, we were talking about the recent Thanksgiving.
mhm.
um our Thanksgiving dinner was didn't come together very well, and um we were talking kind of about all the things that had gone wrong, and he sort of opened the door by saying something about, sorry. um he's Nike. Could I hold on 1 second? Maybe pause. I would, can you so um I it opened up the window, him sharing about, yeah, he said something like, I'm having some, like, I was having a hard time. I was having a hard time managing my emotions because he was very angry, and he was, hard time following stuff. And so that opened the window for me to share about how he um was how I've been noticing that he's had some difficulties. And so I brought those things up and said, I think maybe you need to at least schedule an appointment with a provider to, be evaluated professionally. Um, so and then he didn't really respond to that. And I didn't feel like I should push him. So I just sort of let the idea float and settle so that he could think about that.
Mhm.
Um, and but thankfully, he surprisingly, he heard me, and so he did ask me more about it. And so then I listed for him, you know, um, what it's called, mild cognitive impairment, and the things that he was having difficulty completing tasks, difficulty misplacing things, difficulty processing his, finding the right words, even changes in his emotions, and even he's had some recent missteps and like got up out of the chair and fell and that kind of thing. Um, so he did at least follow through, and he made an appointment to be seen. So, um, but
You have had some concerns, but at least there's communication. So
yeah, yeah.
that sounds like it
So
provide a little bit a feeling of insurance, of at least you can know a little bit that he's gonna help you know what's going on instead of you feeling out of the loop.
yeah, or just even, I guess, really, I was sort of just afraid to even bring it up because I didn't want to, upset him unnecessarily. But thankfully, I did. I am a person of prayer, and I did ask the Lord to kind of show me when would be a good time. And I've been I've been trying to just keep bringing it before the Lord because um, I know that He has the answers when I'm in the present with Him versus when my mind starts going off into the future and imagining all these different scenarios. Um, he's in the future, but I don't experience him when my focus is on the future. I experience his answers, his wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
his assurances in the present. So I've been working hard to keep bringing it into the present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that assurance sounds very comforting.
Yeah. Yeah. I really treasure my quiet time with the Lord. I I don't I don't know how other people function without it. So I know for myself I can't function unless I call it my coffee with Jesus time. And my morning when I get up, that's the first thing I do. I get my cup of coffee, I go back, retreat back into my room, and I talk to the Lord because I need to, I just need to be strengthened. I think of King David strengthened himself in the Lord, um it's really funny too because my prayer time isn't. I don't think I really even ask for anything. I'm more reminding myself of who He says I am. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, thank you, Lord, that you surround me with favor as a shield. You protect me from the darts of the evil one. You place a hedge of thorns around me, a wall of fire. You go before me, you're my rear guard, you're surrounding me. You surround me with songs of deliverance and your unfailing love, for I trust in you. So I like it just encourages me. So, and that really helps.
Yes, to feel there's a sense of assurance and you're also protected no matter what.
Yeah. So, and it usually helps me through most of my day, but then I guess I need to recharge. Maybe I need an afternoon coffee with Jesus time because um as soon as I'm in my day, I'm at work and distracted by the things of the world because we have to do our things. um, then those little doubts and insecurities start coming back in. The little gremlins come in, and I go, oh, and then the worry and the, which I know is from my future thinking. Um, yeah.
So, yeah, on one hand, there's, you realize that God protects you and assures you, and but there's still that, on the other hand, there's still that worry still in the background sometimes. That's understandable. Like you said, it's pretty normal to feel that way.
Yeah.
It
I
sounds like
guess
you
maybe,
already have some steps also of how to get yourself more into the framework you want to with your mindset.
yeah, that has been a good uh coping and strengthening strategy for me. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, and then the other thing that's driving me crazy. So, I'm living in this my home that used to be my home, but it's no longer my home. It's Steve's home,
Okay.
but I'm temporarily living with him. So, um, when it was our home, I had things set up the way I like it. So, and I'm also like, I'm clean and tidy, and so things would be orderly, and but now it's that it is not that way. It's not my house. So, and the house has an open floor plan,
Hmm.
and so when the kitchen um counters are a mess, then it's like the whole house feels like a mess. And the kitchen counters are always a mess now. So, and now with our son living here as well, living with at the out with us, oh my goodness. So, um, he's messy as well. So it just now, because I used to have a little clean space that I kind of kept a little part of the counter. This is my clean space. Don't put your stuff here. That I would come in and work in, and now that's gone. So it's been feeling very, it's it's difficult because clutter feeds my stress, or I don't know, I think I feel stressed from it.
Would there be a way for you to still get that space back?
That's a good question. I don't know. I keep trying to do that. Um and then I'm gone at work all day, and I come home and it's a mess. I That's one, I didn't like living alone. When I lived alone, I was lonely and struggled. Um, but at least when I came home from work, everything was still in the proper place where I left it. So nothing was moved. There was no mess on the counter. Like, I left the kitchen clean. I came home, the kitchen was clean. Nobody did anything to mess it up. And I liked that. Um, but
You maybe ask.
then I was like, yeah, that, yeah,
Maybe
that's a
between your son and your ex, if you could maybe ask if that's a possibility.
yeah, maybe so. Maybe I could do that. I Yeah, I don't know. I feel that's part of, I think I that's part of my frustration as well. I think because I don't feel like I can be honest and share those, or kind of, you know, that's like a complaint in a sense. Can you clean up your mess or give me a space or something? Because he's doing a favor by allowing me to stay here.
Mm.
And I want to be grateful and appreciative and not push any buttons to, well, if you don't like it here, you could just leave. So um that having that in the back of my mind curtails my speech and makes me uh you know not I feel like I'm not able to to do that freely.
So on one hand, it does cause you stress to have clutter. But on the other hand, you would like to have some space for yourself.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. So thankfully I have my room. So I
You
spent a
have
lot of
clear
time
space.
in one clean space. So that's good. That's good. Um,
You've mentioned earlier on about how you've been communicating with your ex about, the process with him and where he is mentally and cognitively. Um, just wondering if maybe you could, uh, if you could, but maybe ask him maybe for some space for yourself. And it's not saying that everything has to be clean, but maybe a space for yourself could be helpful. He can clutter the rest of the space, but if you could have that one space for yourself, there's no reason why. Um, I just notice that sometimes you want to be like, okay, well, I can care for that person, but I don't know if I should ask for myself.
yeah, that's
So
true. That's true. He was open to hear from me about the mental health stuff, so maybe he would be open to, you know, how how we our living space. So, oh my. And then another crazy thing is that my son has his dog here, and he's a big uh half black lab, half pit bull, so a big dog, and he's only like a year old, so kind of a puppy. And so
okay.
he keeps jumping up on everything. And so like I come home from work and I just wanted to sit down and have my meal, and he's jumping up and on the counter, and I'm like I don't feel like it's my job to train this puppy, but at the same time, I don't want him jumping up on my stuff. But so then that gets me frustrated because I'm, I want my son, it's his dog. I want him to train his dog to stop jumping up. I don't want to be responsible for that.
Yeah, it sounds like what we were mentioning. So you're comfortable with communicating when it comes down to concern for them, but when it comes down to concern for you, it's almost like a feeling of, I don't know if it's fear necessarily or if it's just you're not sure if you want to, but communications with boundaries couldn't hurt. If they don't know, then how are they supposed to know?
That's true. That's true. I yeah, maybe I'm overly concerned of what they'll think, or if or see, it's crazy. I shouldn't be worried about feeling rejected. It's like we're not married anymore. So, like, why am I worried about upsetting their feelings? I don't know. It's a
It's
little.
Yeah, it's understandable as because you've mentioned that you want, a comfortable space, you want peace, and so, there can be concern of what you could do to not keep your peace or and keep that calm.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be um a good goal for me to somehow make a plan to have that discussion. That shouldn't be that hard. hadn't really thought about it that like, oh, I could just ask. I could just ask, can I have this part of the counter? And see, I guess you know what? Part of I think of the fear of asking now that I think about it is that with the long history in the past of if I actually ask for the request and they go, "Oh yeah, sure," but then they don't follow through, then I'm going to have hurt feelings. And I think I'm doing all this to avoid the frustration and hurt feelings of them not following through with what they say they will do. So I think maybe that's a some sort of, I'm just trying to keep the peace and put up walls so that I just don't have to deal with all that. Does that sound crazy?
No, it's not crazy. It's understandable. It's also a skill that you're working on, so it's understandable to have that a little bit of concern of, the results of whatever you do. You just don't know the end result.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else about that concern you still need to touch upon?
N- Um, no, I think I just need to, be brave and have the conversation. Like I said, it shouldn't be that hard, and somehow just have the conversation, make the request, and then let go of the expectation, because that way I'll be pleasantly surprised if they follow, and then if they don't, it won't be as disappointing. Maybe that would be a way of doing that. So yes, I'm going to have that conversation. That's a definite goal for me.
There's that assurance right there. Um, yes, it feels like you can still connect, what you were saying about God and the assurance and the protection, back to all the rest of your situations. And, you have the assurance and you have the protection, no matter what the results are.
Yeah, that's right.
Can we do a quick summary? So we talked about a little bit of your um, living with your ex and about his a little bit of his cognitive decline and the concern that was causing about what the future could look like for him and also for how that could affect you. Um, we kept going back into how you are continuously using finding a strength in being able to connect with God and get that assurance and protect self-protection, for your life, no matter the results. And that still carries on even with your um, when you see clutter in the house and you're just wanting that little bit of space for yourself. And um, we also talked about how you had concern for them and how, you're learning how to have concern for yourself as well and being able to verbalize your own communication and your own needs and wants and
Yeah. Right.
You have this goal that you are going to communicate for next time, just about, just your desire. And you already mentioned that no matter what, you're going to release control and you can be pleasantly surprised no matter what the result. But at least you know that now you were able to verbalize your own needs as well.
Yes. Yes.
You're exercising
Thank
your strengths and
you.
confidence.
All right.
So
Thank you.
thank you. So we'll just if we could just talk back next time about how that went. Just let me know, and I'll be looking forward to finding the result either way and how you're continuously growing. I'll see you next time. Okay, Leigh?
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yay.
Okay, did I ask? I think I asked a little bit too many questions. We were on this like no question, and at first I was like, oh, I'm not going to ask any questions, and then I asked this like a lot.
I don't I don't know. It didn't feel like it, but I don't know. You did
Okay.
a really good summary. That was great.
Oh, thank you.
How did you remember all that stuff? That was awesome.
Oh,
Um,
I've
let's
picked
see.
apart. So the text is continuously saying keywords, 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 and what were like the main points of what the client was saying and feeling. So I was like, oh, keywords, keywords. This
Yeah,
is the highlight. This is the focus. So yeah, we
that
don't
was
have to
good.
remember. We don't have to remember everything. We just have to remember what we feel like the client finds the most important.
Right. So you did a good job of that. That was my evaluative statement. Um, I, let's see, nonverbal communication. You smiled and you were warm and your vocal. You sounded nice and friendly and like you were attentive and listening and you laughed when I laughed and I felt like that you were present and that it was a good connection. Thought that was good. Um, yeah, and let's see. I felt like you did a good job of paraphrasing, so that helped to make me feel understood, and so um and then even you pointed something out, and it got me to thinking about something else. I can't remember what it was now, but I was talking about the about not wanting to share or something, not wanting to ask. And then when you said something and it made me think, oh yeah, because I'm afraid that they won't follow through and I'm going to be hurt. And like I didn't have that um idea or aha until your prompt brought that out. So that was good too.
Yeah, I was
So
thinking of on the one hand example. So it's like on the one hand, you're
yeah.
really caring for them. However, so
Yeah, and I didn't see that before till you pointed that out.
oh,
Like for
that was
real.
mental. I was trying not to use the words, but it was mentally.
And then what was funny is like I kept thinking about like, yeah, I need to be true to myself. I was thinking of your thing, and I'm going, I need to be true to myself and be authentic and say what I need to say. And I'm thinking of you, and I'm like, I can't say all that. It was kind of funny
There was a
because I was
little
thinking,
bit of a slight bit of like both of our sessions were like had a little bit of a similarity, not a lot, but enough to be like, well, we can do some self-identification over here. It's a little bit more self-analysis going into um
definitely.
was there anything for working on?
Yeah, I didn't know. I felt like it was good. Um, and I wanted to share, but then I also tried to like, okay, I try to give pauses so that you could practice your skills of so I hope like, I didn't know if I should keep going, but I was trying to like say a bunch and then stop to I was trying to
Just so I know, what parts did you feel hesitant to whether or not you?
no, I didn't feel hesitant at all. I was just saying I just um I don't know. I was trying to be mindful to pause and then to give you a chance to butt in
Raise
or not. Like I didn't like, I mean, to give you a chance to practice your skills because I'm trying to be a good client so that you can practice your skills. So it's funny, actually, I wrote about that on one of the reflection things. That's hard for me is like I want to be a really good client because I want to be a good homework partner, and like I want to make it easy, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure you feel the same
Yeah.
way too. You want to be a good client so that we can both do a good job.
There's a part I'm trying to be more comfortable in trying to continuously like share though and not feel like I'm putting like a block to it when I'm sharing as
Right.
a client. And so like as a client, you're gonna share, you're not always gonna have be waiting for the counselor to give that responses. And sometimes the client is gonna share a whole bunch and you're just gonna have to figure out how to
Yeah, no, and that's good. That's good. So I wasn't sure. That's what I'm saying. It's like I didn't know if I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't know if I should just keep going or or do those pauses. So I was kind of doing both. Like I would sort of like just keep going and then when I felt like, well, I finished that thought enough, I'm gonna pause because I wanted to so I think it was a good. And I didn't feel like there was any broken, awkward connections or anything weird. I thought it went really well. So,
Okay.
in fact, I was surprised when I looked up at the clock and I went like, "Oh, we're almost there."
I looked at the clock several times because I had to be mindful of that because in the past I was getting really close to like going extremely over. So so I looked up probably at least every 10 minutes or so to make sure it was on the right timing.
Well, I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, I try to make it try to make it
You,
I
you
was
did
like
it on the
quick,
fly. You did
quick.
good. Okay.
Or when you were looking, sometimes it was when you were processing, so you were
Uh-huh.
thinking, like looking up a little bit. I was like, perfect time.
Good. That's good.
um,
Yeah, I think we both do that. I think that's kind of natural, like because we're looking for words. We're looking up. Those words are going to come down into my brain, right?
God send me the words. um, but yeah, but if you do, I do want to try to work on, I guess, if there is something I could do to keep you comfortable to feel like you can stay in the flow, versus feeling like you're blocking yourself. I don't know what that is
I don't
exactly.
feel like was blocking myself. I hope that's not what you heard when I
Oh,
was
okay.
communicating.
Okay.
Because I didn't you didn't do anything to you were good, you were open, and you let me talk. I was kind of like, I don't know what else to say, and I feel like that's a good pause point. I don't know. But
Okay.
and yes, I was mindful of the assignment, because it does say something in the instructions about trying to like allowing your counselor to do that. So
Oh,
um
yeah. I just want to make sure as a counselor that I'm making sure that I'm giving you the space that you're comfortable to keep
you
sharing
did.
instead of okay.
Yeah,
All right. Do we have anything else? I think we're good, right?
I think we're good.
Okay, so we'll stop there.